It has been 4 years since I've had an idea swirling around my head. An idea that stemmed from all of the time I've spent playing the Friday the 13th game featuring none other than Jason Voorhees. One day I thought, what if they gave the same treatment to none other than Freddy Krueger? Not just that, but how about making this game based on what is, in my opinion, best Nightmare on Elm Street film, that being Part 3, Dream Warriors. So, here's the premise. One player is Freddy Krueger going up against up to 6 other players who can choose from people from the movie with all of their abilities that they can use in the dream world. It's set in the Springwood Weston Hills Asylum for Troubled Youth, where 6 people are being tormented by Freddy Krueger and agree to work together to stop him with all of their talents that they only have in their dreams. They all sleep and find themselves in famous locations from the Nightmare on Elm Street series, including that of boiler rooms, Springwood High School, and the street itself of Springwood, featuring none other than Nancy's house. Players must look for items to survive or live long enough to gain their inner Dream Warrior abilities to bring the fight to Freddy Krueger. There are only 2 ways to win as the survivors. Find the items that have killed him in the past, including holy water, a cross, and by digging a burial site with all the shovels that you find. Once you've found these items, you can use your dream abilities to stun him enough to make an attempt to drag him into the grave. If you've done that, you need to pour the holy water onto him, and then aim the cross on him, which will then end in everyone burying him alive to end the session. Option 2, on the other hand, has you summon Nancy by having 3 people wake up to cause a disturbance in the asylum. This will cause Nancy to take action and effectively replace a player who's already dead or whoever has woken up and is still alive. That, of course, if Freddy hasn't killed anyone yet, but anyway. Once you deal a significant amount of damage to Freddy, have Nancy drag Freddy out of the dream world using an item, such as a torch or something sharp to wake yourself up while he's in your grasp. Nancy will spawn with all of these items and a shovel, but if she's killed, then all you can do is kill him within the dream. Once he's in the asylum, you then have to take him on with all the various weapons around the asylum until Freddy is dead. And it's the final nightmare. Or is it? One thing to note, waking up as a mechanic will be only used for the secondary option. Waking up too early will only result in the orderlies forcing you back to sleep after you have woken up from said nightmares, so to speak, therefore putting you back in the dream world. They won't force you to sleep if Freddy is brought out of the dream world. Instead, they will run in terror as the kids fight. If Freddy kills you in the dream, you die for real! Who would have guessed it? To win as Freddy, you obviously need to kill them. But here's where it gets interesting. You need to scare people enough to collect their fear as a fuel source for all of your power, and collect their souls before you can unlock all of your abilities. If you've seen the films, you might remember Freddy opening up his shirt to reveal the souls of the dead children, as they were all a bunch of heads on his stomach. Pretty gross. Although they can be made to fight back, however, if Freddy is killed using the items in the dream. I'll go over his abilities more later on, but to elaborate on this further, as Freddy, you can use your environment to cause fear upon your enemies, and can take advantage of each character's weaknesses against them, like in the movies. For example, in Part 6, one of the characters had a hearing aid. If this were in the game, you could use your environment to make enough noise to blow their head off. Freddy is the master of the art of jump scares to fuel his power. Even by doing just that, you are effectively gaining enough power to put an end to the people of Elm Street. Survivors will also need to monitor their fear levels. If Freddy messes with them enough, it may result in cardiac arrest, and another individual may need to use the defibrillator to save them. There are two types of kills for Freddy. One is the character-specific kill that I'll talk about later, and the other is a standard kill after doing enough damage. These can be chosen before each match to your liking. Those kills might include poking out someone's eyes, stabbing them in the gut, sucking someone's face off with a kiss, or using the power glove to control someone and have them kill themselves. Maybe casting them into the ground and seeing the blood splatter upwards like a geyser from the first movie, or whatever else you could think of. Whatever the crazy ideas you have, sound off in the comments below, everyone, if you have something crazy in mind. You can also use your environment, such as TVs, beds, tables, and chalkboards at the school, boiler room furnaces, and more. Freddy can win in either scenario, whether it's the dream world or not. All he needs to do is kill them with his powers in his dreams, or if necessary, killing them in the real world with his natural speed and his claw. And now I'll give a brief summary of all the playable survivors and their strengths and weaknesses. For the sake of this video, I will go over the ideas I have for the movie's characters and their abilities, but one might hope that if this game became a reality, more original characters would be present as well. We shall start with Kristen Parker, the main protagonist of the film. Strengths include gymnastics, leaderships, and the ability to alert teammates from further distances, which is good for ganging up on Freddy. She has gymnastics as her dream power, therefore can use great fighting tactics and is quick to get away from Freddy. But her weaknesses: she's prone to fear. If Freddy gets his way, he can perform a special kill where he disappears, and suddenly she gets swept up into the air and gets ragdolled around whilst being sliced and diced up until dead. And she also has a lack of strength. Taryn White, a girl with an attitude, and perhaps a drug problem. Strengths, confidence, doesn't scare easily. Good with knives, basically a DPS character that can damage Freddy quickly. Also, fast speed and agility. Weaknesses: can be exposed to unnamed drugs if Freddy manages to weaken her enough. Like in the movie, to an extent, she'll have weaknesses to needles. Her arms will form little mouths and she will indeed die a tragic death. Oh, what a rush. Her strength is low and she has a tendency to attract attention. She does talk a lot, doesn't she? Joey Crucial, the one who keeps getting caught by Freddy with his pants down, literally, while staring at females. His strengths: can stun Freddy with a deafening scream like in the movie, good for killing him in the dream world when the time is right. Fast speed, and he's a good medic. Weaknesses: a low composure, gets spooked easily, can be seduced by an illusion of attractive women if his fear levels are high enough, making him vulnerable to a kill involving the female gagging him with her tongue and break his neck with it. He does have trouble waking up when fear levels take over. "You can't wake up," you know. Will Stanton, the dorky kid who enjoys wizardry and magic. His strengths: some of the best in the game. He has wizard powers in his dream. Only in this game will they work, however. These abilities make him one of the best in the dream world. He can shoot green lightning that does damage to Freddy and stuns him from his hands, and can blow up various items that Freddy has enchanted with his demon powers. He is fast and can levitate if he earns it. He can revive a teammate without a defibrillator, very useful. His weaknesses: he can only walk or run in the dream world. That is because he's paralyzed in the real world, like in the movie. he lacks strength. If his fear levels are high enough, Freddy can trigger an event where his powers do no damage, and then Freddy proceeds to send a giant wheelchair with spikes that picks him up, impales him, rather than just simply stabbing him in the gut, which he did in the movie. Roland Kincaid, a jock-like character who doesn't take shit from anyone. Strengths, well, that would be strength. Like in the movie, he can manhandle Freddy, so to speak, and use objects in his environment. Only he can use these items in order to damage or stun Freddy. He's essentially the tank character. He has a lot of health, can take a lot of damage, his size and strength makes him durable. And he has a high composure. Weaknesses: makes too much noise, big lumbering man. Slowest character in the game, unfortunate. If fear level is high enough, Freddy can trigger an event where Freddy can overpower him and turn him and make him weak instead. Freddy then proceeds to grab a giant weight and then push it into his arms to snap them off, because he cannot hold on. It ends with Freddy pummeling his head in with his arms, using them as drumsticks. Last of the regulars, you have Philip. Philip is an interesting one because, spoiler alert, he doesn't last long enough in the film to have powers. Until now. Strengths: can command the puppets to attack Freddy. Very useful as a distraction. Very good with tools or weapons. Obviously, he must have created these puppets somehow. And a high composure. Weaknesses: if fear level is high enough, Freddy can trigger an event where he takes over one of his puppets and then slices his arms and legs to reveal his tendons. Then Freddy proceeds to puppeteer his body, like in the film, and make him dance. Then he cuts off his tendons and makes him bleed out. He has a lower starting health, and he's weak to attacks from Freddy's glove. Nancy Thompson. Nancy is the hero from 3 different Nightmare on Elm Street movies. She has good stats in most categories, being the hero character, of course. Strengths: starts with a torch, knife, and a shovel. Her experience means she has high composure and is resourceful with her environment. She has the leadership qualities of Kristen, but also has medical skills including healing and can regain people's confidence with her presence. Her weaknesses: there is only one, and that being, when Freddy reaches his fullest potential, he can make an illusion that has her believing her father is in her dream, therefore leaving her vulnerable enough for a sneak kill as he's posing as her dad. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the main event. It's time to go over Freddy Krueger and his abilities. His main weakness, his only weakness, is that he can't regenerate life or use his environment or powers anymore when he's in the asylum after being pulled out of the dream. He is weaker in the real world, as you know, and he can't do much after that, so it's easier to kill him in the asylum. But y'all want to know his abilities, right? These include Shadow Strike. Freddy can use his shadow to attack his prey. If he is powerful enough, it could be lethal. If not, it might be nothing more than a nice little jump scare for somebody. Stretchy arms. Freddy can stretch his arms out and either attack or grab his opponent with them. Depending on his power, he can stretch them either less or more. Giant Snake. Freddy can turn into a giant snake when he's powerful enough, and for a short period of time, he can eat someone alive slowly, unless they are saved by their peers. Grr. Quicksand floors. Freddy, when powerful enough, can make the floor that he aims at turn into a gooey-like substance, therefore making it more difficult to run away, like in the films, or any bad dream you've had where you just can't seem to run away despite all your effort. Soul Power. Freddy's passive ability is that he can consume the soul of any victim, therefore making him more powerful with every kill. The more the fear in them, the more power he gets. Teleportation. Freddy can teleport to any spot on the map. When he becomes more powerful, he gains the ability to evade danger by going invisible for a brief amount of time. Unknown drugged needles. You can make your own guess on that one, based on the movie. Freddy gains this ability if he defeats Taryn White. He can change his blades into needles that he can stab people with. They will stun the opponent and cause him to hallucinate for a bit. Last but not least, messing with the environment for the jump scare. Freddy can morph into certain objects and pop out of them to scare his opposers. He can claw on metal, screech a chalkboard, make blood ooze out of the walls, or whatever else he can think of in the environment. Freddy Krueger is one to mess with reality, so it's all fair game in whatever environment he's in. That's the beauty of it. Anything you can think of, he could probably do within a dream. In my eyes, the game would mostly be focused on the multiplayer, like games like Friday the 13th or Dead by Daylight. But I would also like to have an offline mode where you experience the game as a story like in the movie. Or offline modes to just mess around as Freddy. To sum it up, ladies and gentlemen, this game to me is a spiritual successor to the Friday the 13th game that we never got. The entire concept was largely inspired by that game, and it's a damn shame that game never got all the DLC thanks to all the rights that were in the war. In a perfect world, we would get more movies and games featuring Freddy and Jason, but alas, that era is seemingly over. For now, anyway. So, what did everybody think of my idea? Does the idea of a Dream Warriors game interest you? What sort of abilities would you come up with for Freddy and his survivors? Sound off in the comment below. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more concept videos like this one. Have a wonderful day! When I close my eyes, I realize you'll come my way. I'm standing in the night alone, forever together with the Dream Warriors. Don't wanna dream no more with the Dream Warriors. Maybe tonight you'll be gone.